church. Morning, church. Shall we all rise to our feet? Prepare our hearts, prepare our minds to worship God this morning. How many of you all count it as a privilege to stand here in this place to worship God this morning? Better is one day in His house than 1,000 elsewhere, amen. Psalms chapter 118 verse 24, it says, "This is the day the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it." Amen. This is the day the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. Can I see some hands? Can I see you all clapping your hands and praising Jesus this morning? Hallelujah. Thank you, Lord God, Father. Come on, church, let's take this time to worship. I encourage you all to thank the Lord for the last 7 months. We have come to the end of the 7th month. And the time just passed by like this. Let's all thank the Lord. Come on, church. I encourage you to worship God. Lord, we thank you. We praise you, God. Hallelujah. Oh, let's take this time to reflect our lives. The goodness the Lord has done in our lives. We've been through ups and downs. We've been through many challenges. But even then, God has been faithful in our lives for the last 7 months of this year. Oh, we praise you, Jesus. We thank you. We thank you, Lord God. Thank you for your goodness, Lord Jesus. Thank you for your greatness in my life, Lord. Thank you for your kindness, God, Father. Thank you for your favor. Come on, church. I encourage you to worship God this morning. This is the day the Lord has made, and I will rejoice. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Hallelujah. Oh, we thank you. We praise you, God, Father, for who you are, Lord God. Oh, Jesus. Oh, your majesty. Your majesty, you're seated on the throne. Your majesty, you're seated on the throne, Lord God, Father. Oh, come on, church, praise Him, praise Him, praise Him. Worship the Lord. This is the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. Lord, we enthrone you, Lord Jesus. We enthrone you in this place, oh God. Lord, we acknowledge you, O Lord God, Father, for who you are, Lord. You're our Savior, O Lord Jesus. You're our companion, O Lord God, Father. You're our deliverer, O Lord Jesus. Oh, you are the beginning and the end, O Lord. The Alpha and the Omega, Lord Jesus. You're our Savior, you're our Majesty, O Lord. You're seated on the throne, O God. Oh, let's continue to worship. Come on, church, let's continue to worship God this morning. Oh, we thank you, Jesus. If you are led to speak in the language of the Holy Spirit, I encourage you to do so. Oh, all the earth proclaim that you are the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. Let everything that has breath praise the Lord. Let everything that has breath praise the Lord. Oh, come on, church, praise Him, praise Him, praise Him, praise Him. Lord, we welcome you here in this place. Lord, we welcome you here in this place. We welcome you. We welcome you. We welcome you, Jesus. Holy Spirit, sweep across this place. Oh, we thank you. Majesty, can but bow. I lay my all before you in royal robes, in royal robes. I don't deserve. I live to serve your majesty. Oh, your majesty. I can but bow. I lay my all before you, Lord Jesus. Oh, in royal robes. I don't deserve. I live to serve your majesty. To say King of Kings, majesty. King of Kings, majesty. God of heaven, living in me. Your gentle Savior, gentle Savior, closest friend. You're my deliverer. I can I live to serve only you alone, oh God. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Jesus. Come on, church, let's clap our hands and sing this old hymn. It's called the Old School Praise. Want everyone to clap your hands throughout the songs. Say, this is the day, this is the day that the Lord has, that the Lord, I will rejoice, we will rejoice, and be glad in it. Oh, this is the day, we will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. How many of you believe that this is the day the Lord has made? I see the hands only at the front. I don't see any hands lifted up at the backside. Can I see your hands? This is the day the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. I want everyone at the backside to clap their hands and sing praises to. Let's say, clap, 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 sing. This is the day. This is the day that the Lord. Oh, yes, the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. Oh, this is the day that the Jesus, we have the victory. No one can stand against us. Amen. Hallelujah. The victory is ours. How many of you believe that the victory is ours? Today morning, as I was getting ready for church, God has a way of testing your patience. It's a warfare. When you are standing here at home, it's a warfare. We're all ready, we're all set to go home, but somehow the flush of the cupboard broke down. It was a test of patience for me, because I was running out of time to come to church. The water was going. I didn't want to waste the water. I turned out to be the home plumber, but I said, not today, Satan. Not today. The victory is mine. I'm going to fix this up. 2 minutes, I turned to be a plumber, fixed the faucet, got back to church on time. But I said, victory is mine this morning. You might be going through various challenges. You might be going through battles which you do not know, but you've been praying for. But know that victory is yours this morning. There is power in the name of Jesus. If you believe that, I want you all to make some noise and sing praise to God this morning. We sing, victory is mine. Victory is mine. Victory today is mine. I told sin, get thee behind. Come on, just sing it. Sing, victory is mine. Victory is mine. Victory is mine. Victory today. Oh, I told sin, get thee behind. Victory today. Sing, there is power in the name. Power. There is no one else like you, Jesus. You deserve all the glory, honor, and praise of God, Father. Come on, church, take this time to praise Jesus in this place. Let's praise Jesus in this place. Oh Lord, we crown you, O Lord Jesus, King of glory. We crown you, Lord God, Father. King of glory, we crown you for who you are, Lord God, Father, Lord Jesus. So worthy, you're so worthy of all praise, O God. There is no other name that is greater than your name, O Lord God. Come on, church, I encourage you to worship God. We are entering the time of worship. Oh Lord, you're worthy. You're so worthy of all praise to God, Father. Lord, we lay down our crowns, Lord Jesus, and we crown you, Lord Father, for you are the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, Lord. There is no one else like you, Lord Jesus. There is no one, Lord God, Father. Oh Lord Jesus, we give you your rightful place, oh God, Father. Lord, we give you your rightful place, oh Lord Father, in this place. Lord, there are times, Lord Jesus, that we have put everything else before you, O Lord. There are times that Jesus, we have put everything else before you and we have kept you at the back, Lord Father. But today morning, this Sunday morning, Lord Jesus, Lord, we want to give you your rightful place, O Lord God, Father. In our house, O Lord Father, in this house, you will be the first, O Lord God. In our homes, O Lord Father, you will be the first, O Lord God, Father. In our lives, O Lord Jesus, you will be the first, O Lord God, Father. Oh, Rimanashal, come on, church, praise Him, praise Him. Let your presence come down in our midst, O Lord God, Father. Yours is the kingdom and the power and the glory, Lord God, Father. There is power in your name, O Lord Jesus. There is healing in your name, O God, Father. No weapons formed against you shall prosper. Oh, you're seated on the throne, Lord. There is one on the throne. There is one on the throne. Jesus, holy. He's worthy. He's worthy of the honor. Glory. Sing it, church.
Who's I saw a mighty angel proclaiming in a loud voice, "Who is worthy to break the seals and open the scroll?" I wept and I wept because no one was found who was worthy to open the scroll or look inside. Then one of the elders said to me, "Do not weep. See, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the Root of David, has triumphed. He is able to open the scroll and its 7 seals." Church, even today we are weeping and we are weeping, trying to find out if we have won the victory. We sing songs of victory, we proclaim victory, but somewhere inside us we still doubt, "Lord, have you won the victory?" Today the Lord is reminding us that He has won the victory, and His victory is our victory. His victory is our victory. If He is seated on the throne, we will be seated on the throne. If He has beaten the devil down, we will triumph over the enemy. Why? Because Jesus is the one who is seated on the throne. Put your hands together as we sing again. Who is worthy? It is Jesus and no one else. In your name there is power, Lord. In your name there is authority, O Lord. There is no one else, Lord Father. No other name in heaven or earth, O Lord Father, that derives and deserves every praise that comes out from our children, Lord Father. We lift your name, Jesus. We lift your name, Yeshua. There is no other name. We declare, Lord Jesus, your victory is our victory, Lord God. Your victory is our victory. We thank you. We bless you. We honor you, Lord. Lord, we revere you, Lord Father. We adore you, Lord Father. Thank you. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Father. In the name of Jesus we pray. Amen. Put your hands together, church. God is good. Amen. Amen. Please be seated. As we share from this communion, as we share from this table, there are no multiple tables. There is only one table. And in this table is where the family of God comes together and share. I want to read from Philippians 2, 17 and 18. Paul goes on to say, but even if I am being poured out like a drink offering on the sacrifice and service coming from your faith, I am glad and rejoice with all of you. He says, even if I am poured out like a drink offering. What was he trying to refer? He was trying to refer in the times when God declared how the worship has to be when the lamb has to be sacrificed. He says, when the animal is sacrificed, you need to do something more, he said. He said, bring the drink offering. Why? Because the drink offering's aroma was sweet. It added into that sacrifice. In Exodus, God goes on to say, when you step your feet into the promised land, this is what you do. When you sacrifice, you pour out the drink offering. Why? Because when that aroma comes, it's pleasing in my sight. And that's what Paul goes on to say. He says, I'm pouring myself out to you as a drink sacrifice, as a drink offering unto you. And so he says, rejoice. Why was he saying? Because he knew he was on his last days. And he knew that he poured out everything unto the people. He poured out everything unto the people. He says, everything that I have offered is that drink offering to make it sweet. So you rejoice as I rejoice. That's the church. That's the church in Ephesians 5, 1 and 2. Follow God's example. You and me follow who God is, imitating God. Therefore, as dearly loved children, and walk, he says, in the way of love, just as Christ loved us and gave himself as a fragrant offering and sacrifice to God. He says, when Jesus was offered as a sacrifice, when you and me offer ourselves as a drink offering, it creates aroma unto worship. That's the church. That's how we are united in this one table. When together you and me say this, what Paul said, I'm offering myself as a drink offering unto you. I add this into your life. To each other we tell, I'm there. And there is one. There is no high class and low class. There is no your language, my language. It's not your color versus my color. It's not your family versus my family. We are one in Christ. We are one in Christ. That's why we serve from this one table. There is no difference between us. And our prayer today is, Lord, I offer myself as a drink sacrifice. I give my offering to my brothers and to my sisters. I carry, and as Paul said, walking in love. So when you and me are taking from this table, we are saying, Lord, I forgive my brother, I forgive my sister. I take nothing, anything I take, Lord, I keep it and I pour myself before you. That's the table. That's what we declare. And even as we pray for this communion, our prayer is, Lord, if there's anything wanting in me, if there's anything wanting in me, I pour myself out. Because if I do it with keeping something against my brother and sister, I'm devaluing the table. So let's pray and say, Lord, make us one as you are one. That's our cry. Lord, make us one. We are one family. We are one family. Even as we take from this communion, may our prayer be, Lord, let me pour out myself. Let me pour out myself as a drink offering to my brothers and to my sisters, to this church that you have placed me. Father, we want to say thank you. As we share from this table, we want to tell you that we are one, Lord, and united as your family, Lord Father. And Lord, even as we share, and even as you have taught us, teach us to pour ourselves unto you, so that in your sacrifice, this aroma of unity will come, Lord Father. And you will be pleased with the church, Lord God. We thank you, we bless you, we honor you. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen. If there's any one of you here who does not know the Lord, who may not want to take part at this today, just pass it on to your brother and sister and meet the elders, meet the people, meet the ministry heads, meet the community heads, and pray with them, because it's our desire that everyone should participate in the communion.
Broken and scattered,
that we give unto the Lord, our prayer is, Lord, give me the grace to give. And as we give our prayers, Lord, we pray that your gospel will be established. And you put us here in the city of Bangalore. May we be the catalyst of the city, O Lord, Father. Let's give unto the Lord. This doesn't belong to us, it belongs to the Lord. And we are here with a sacrifice unto Him. God is good. Thank you. Good to see you all this morning. If there are anyone here who is here for the first time visiting the church, can you please stand? Do we have Beulah in the family here? Please stand. The entire family, no problem. Just stand, just stand. Please put your hands together. If I'm Hyderabad, now Beulah is going to be here. Please be seated. We have Sarge Uncle's friend. Yes, thank you for joining us. Anybody else here? Put your hands together. We couldn't see you. Anybody else we have missed? We want to welcome you. Yeah, I'm coming to that. They are not new. Sorry. Shilpa West. Did I miss anybody else? Good, people are pointing out. Good. Kenneth and Elsa. For those of you who do not know and why somebody is screaming ooh and all that things, they went from here as two small kids. They're coming back as adults. For those of you who do not know them, that is Pastor Sam's kids and Faber's kids. They're from the US. They were here pastoring the church before us, and they had gone to the US to study. They've come here for some holiday and a good time with their old friends. Correct? Yeah, that's first actually. Some quick announcements before we hear God's word. Mission Month, August, is what New Life Fellowship celebrates. A mission month, for those of you who are new, is a time that we come together and we pray for new work to be established from this church that God has built in the last 40 years. So we take this 1 month through the year to pray, and we get churches across and we pray for all of them. So we're going to have a small video while the media team sets it up. But for those of you, just before we put on the video there, if you feel led to give unto the Lord for this very special month that we are doing to establish more churches across South India, towards the last of this month, we will take a special contribution. And pray pray and ask the Lord, what is it that you want us to do? And then apart from what you give as a church, we also give, add that into the contribution, and we give it to the trust. To give more about numbers, I will introduce our guest today, and he will give you the numbers because he is the go-to man for numbers. He will tell you who was born when also. I'll talk to you about that. So Mission Month, can we have the video ready?
Every great move of God begins with one step of faith. In 1983, in obedience to God's call, Pastor Sam and Some left Mumbai and journeyed to Bangalore. What began as a simple act of obedience became the birth of a movement. From Bangalore, the vision spread. Churches were established in Bangalore, Bandwal, and Udupi, laying the foundation for what God was about to do. Then, in 1987, God called Pastor Sam and Some to Bangalore. One church became many. Belgaum, Dubai, Hubli, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, city after city, state after state, nation after nation. Lives were transformed, families were restored, leaders were raised, churches were planted. From 1987 to 2021, by God's grace, New Life Fellowship grew into a family of 170 churches, united by one vision to proclaim the gospel of Jesus Christ. In 2021, Pastor Sam went to be with the Lord, leaving behind a legacy of faith, obedience, and unwavering commitment to God's kingdom. Today, under the leadership of Pastor Gopinathan as chairman of New Life Fellowship, that legacy continues. The mission is not finished. Now the call is ours. Let us stand united. Let us pray united. Let us grow like the Jerusalem church. Let us go like the Antioch church. Let us give like the Macedonian church. Together, let us fulfill the great commission that our Lord Jesus Christ has entrusted to us. The story is still being written. The mission continues. The legacy lives on. And by God's grace, greater things are yet to come. For more than 4 decades, the mission has continued because people chose to pray, to give, and to go. Now it's our turn. This August, let's come together with one heart and one purpose. Let's keep the mission alive. Let's continue the legacy that has been entrusted to us. With every prayer, lives are transformed. With every offering, the gospel reaches farther. Because every person matters, every prayer matters, every gift matters. Together, let's fulfill the great commission of Jesus Christ until every nation hears. Mission Month 2026. Let's make an eternal impact.
For using each one of us out here to see this mission, that the responsibility the Lord has given the leadership. We have Salt and Light. There's a regular announcements, Bread of Life, and this season's last session of the Bread and Life is happening this Wednesday. So we close this by this season, and then we'll announce when the next season is going to start. We have the worship night happening on Friday. Don't miss it. You want to have a good time, please come, spend some time, an hour and a half, spend time, 7 to 8:30, spend some time. Let's worship, let's honor, let's lift the name of the Lord. It's a spiritual warfare. Let's do that part. Julia, where's Julia? Yeah, Julia, please stand. She's going to Manipal to study. So we're going to pray for her. Father, we want to say thank you for this young life, Lord Father. Lord, we pray, be with her, even as she goes to a new city. Lord, we pray that you will lead her and guide her, Lord Father. You know the age and the times that we are in, Lord God. We pray that you will protect your children. Lord, you will cover your children. And Lord, we pray that she will become the salt and light of that city when she goes, Lord Father. She will carry the legacy that was there. And Lord Father, she will be able to be instrumental in influencing her friends and her classmates, oh Lord Father. We thank you, we love you. In the name of Jesus we pray. Amen. We praise God for the founding fathers and the leadership that stood with Pastor Simon Somiandi to see this amazing work that we have been doing across South India and the Middle East and now beyond that. You know, we don't see a lot of things because there's a lot of hard work that we have not seen from the leadership that has done and sacrificed, did a lot of them. Pastor Sundar and Jolly Mama, can you please stand? They're one of the leaders of this beautiful institution that God has helped raise this church. You know, we were there celebrating Sister Jolie's 60th birthday and how as to the testimony that came as to a language that they did not know, you know, Kannada and Tamil. And she learned that language so that she can meet the need of the people. And that's sacrifice, that's calling. Calling is just not position, it's a responsibility that we have taken. We can go on and on as to how much they sacrificed. Today we have them to share, please be seated. We have them to share God's word with us. And that's why I said he's a man of numbers. You ask him when, what was started, and he will tell you that correctly. Okay, so could you please put your hands together as we welcome Pastor Sundar to share God's word with us.
Good morning, church. Indeed, it's my joy and privilege. Me and my wife together. I think my wife is attending the English service maybe after 10 years. First time in this place. For me, this is the third time. The privilege to be with you, to worship the Lord with you. Thank you for those kind words, Pastor Shibu. Thank you for the leadership for inviting me into this place. Ever since Pastor Shibu asked me to be here, there are times I said no because I'm busy in pioneering new works. And then this time I said, yes, I will come. It was 3 weeks before. Ever since that day, I was seeking the Lord's face. Lord, what do you want me to speak to the church? I tell you, last 43 years of ministry, my ministry serving the Lord, as Pastor Shibu said, this July, I'm completing 40 years with the family of New Life Fellowship. It was in 1986, July, I joined there in Bangalore. And 87, myself and my sister Somi and the little Sandy, we traveled in the month of April to Bangalore, and Pastor Sam came by truck with a few books. 87 to 97, almost 10 years, we were nomads, wanderers, traveling. We had no place of worship. First, we met Pastor Sam's sister's place at Sevanagar for 1 day. The next Sunday, we were in Vishanti Nilaya, there at Infantry Road. Then there were 1 or 2 years, we were there at Kumara Park. You heard about Daystar movie, Daystar. Jolie Lambs, her daughter-in-law was with us. We used to call her Dimbi. She was 1 year or 2 year old time. She was part of our church in the beginning. Then we were in MBC building. We were in Auto Ashok. We were in NGO colony, that is an NGO colony in Coburn Park. We were in Women's Club. You know, we were in St. Mark Road. We were in KR Market in a small hotel. We traveled from place to place because we had never our own place. But when I stand here, the beautiful hall the Lord has given to us, of course, almost 6 or 7 years now. And many of you for me, many of you are new faces. I'm so happy to see the church is growing. And I want to definitely thank and appreciate, the people who stood with us all the way from the beginning. My brother and family, Abi and families, sisters' families. Then we have Brother Saju and Annie, and Brother Eric and Sister Millie, and then Cyril D'Souza. Of course, his wife is our spiritual daughter. We proposed the wedding, and we had a privilege of solemnizing the wedding, because she was part of our church in Margate Road 92. And I see so many of you here. My heart's are thrilled. I was just praying, God, I have, last 43 years of ministry, I have many diaries filled with the messages. Every occasion what God speaks. Could have spoken one of these. But I said, Lord, I do not want to do that. Give me something very specific for this church. So let's pray. As a family, morning and evening, we read words after words, passage after passage. We go from Matthew to Revelation, we back to Matthew, and, we read. But my personal studies, these days I'm studying from the book of Ezekiel, Zechariah, Daniel, Revelation, because I'm very much, longing to see what's my future, what is our future. In the book of Luke, Gospel, chapter 21, verse 25 says, the Lord said, the heaven is shaking, the earth is shaking, the seas are shaking, and it says, look up, lift up your heads, because your redemption is near. Church, the bride of Christ, I want to tell you that our redemption is near. We are getting closer and closer. So whatever we do in the church, we are preparing a bride, holy, blameless, and spotless for the coming of the Lord. That should be a heart desire when we come together, whether 2 people or 300 people coming together, whether song practice, fasting, prayer, carousels, meetings, church gatherings, our heart desire, God, I want to be part of that when you come. I want to be with you, Lord. We know that we see what's happening today in the world. We are getting closer to our Lord. Every day when we get up, we pray one thing. Lord, we are one more day closer to you. Either the coming of the Lord or our departure. Pastor Shibu said, my wife, she completed 60. I'm 63. God has been so faithful. And though I had a surgery 11 years back on my knee, but still I'm able to run with a lot of prayer, a lot of exercise, a lot of tablets. Please pray for our children who is in the States. My daughter and the family, they are serving the Lord there. Also, she's running a school for the special children. We have 2 grandchildren God provided. And our youngest son is serving the Lord with us in Butterhurley and Kannur. And some of you know, he was a very special child, so he could not go to the school. Through NIOS, he's completed his standard, +2. By God's grace, he's done 3 years of CTH. And he's serving, helping the Lord, helping us in the ministry. He's 30 years old. Lord has been so faithful. As Pastor Shibu said about Pastor Mansomi, the beginning of the ministry from 1983, which began in Bangalore in month of March. Started with the first meeting was Pastor Sam and Somi and Pastor Cherian and Sarama in their house. Now we are nearly 190 services, New Life Fellowship in South India, Middle East, another part of the world. When we began in 1987 here in Bangalore, we started myself, Sister Somi, and her daughter, and Pastor Sam, the first gatherings in his sister's house in Sevanagar. Today, we have 39 services happening in the city of Bangalore, in English, in Kannada, in Tamil, in Telugu, in Hindi. We are trying to start very soon Nepali, and Telugu we have services. Praise God for what the Lord has done, what the Lord is doing. And we are part of a great work, what the Lord is doing in us and through us. Now for today's message and thoughts, and Pastor Sachin called me 3 days, 4 days before, and he said, Pastor, what is your title? Usually I don't give any titles in my preachings, okay? Then, as studying the word, I was looking at, Lord, what should be the title I should be giving? And I wrote down different titles. Then I said, this is the Lord wanted to speak, obedience to the heavenly call. Amen? If you're willing and obedient, we'll be blessed. Trust and obey. There is no other way to be happy in Jesus. Trust and obey. Now, I've taken the text from Acts, book of Acts, chapter 10. Book of Acts was written by Luke, the physician or the doctor. He wrote the first book. The first volume is Luke Gospel. The second volume is Acts of Apostles. Luke was along with Paul in his missionary journey. And he, in the book of Luke, he wrote when Jesus was on the earth, what Jesus done along with the disciples on this earth. And the book of Acts talks about it, what Jesus done when into heaven through his disciples through the power of the Holy Spirit. In this chapter 10, we have 48 verses. I do not want to read all those things, but I just want to read, who is there? Here's verse 9 to 16. About noon the following day, as they were on their journey and approaching the city, Peter went up onto the roof to pray. He became hungry and wanted something to eat. While the meal was being prepared, he fell into a trance. He saw heaven opened and something like a large sheet being let down to earth by its four corners. It contained all kinds of four-footed animals as well as the reptiles and birds. Then a voice told him, "Get up, Peter, kill and eat." Verse 14, which I want to emphasize. "Surely not, Lord," Peter replied, "have never eaten anything impure or unclean." Let me see how many of you brought your Bible. Let me see your hands. All those who brought your Bibles. Thank you for all those who brought your Bibles. But I'll encourage all others. I'm a loving pastor, but I'm a very strict pastor in the last 40 years. I will ask everyone to bring the Word of God, the Bible with you. When you go to for work, you always carry the laptop with you. You'll never forget. When you send your children to the schools, you never forget to send the books with your children and the tiffin box, right? And in case when you're traveling, suppose you have forgotten your mobile, you'll run back home and you'll get your mobile. Why it's important for us? The Word of God is living and active and powerful than double-edged sword. 2 Timothy chapter 3 verse 16 says, all scripture is given by God, inspired by God. It is profitable for teaching, correcting, rebuking, and leading to righteousness, that every man, and I put every movement of God, may be thoroughly equipped for every good work. 1 Peter chapter 1 verse 21 says, all flesh is just like a grass, and its glory like the flower. But the grass withers and the flower falls, but the word of God will remain forever. Church, I want, it's my prayer for all of us. Those who are not able to have habit of carrying the Bible, maybe next Sunday onwards, please bring your Bible, because anything that we do here in this church, any churches, it is the Bible. I will encourage every one of you, whatever the language you read, doesn't matter. Please bring your Bible. From that we read. I always teach the people, we must hear God's word. We must read God's word. We must meditate God's word. We must delight in God's word. And we must be the doers of God's word, where we'll be blessed. If we don't read, if we don't hear, if we don't meditate, if we don't ponder over it, and we will not be able to do the word of God. By doing the word of God, that we'll be blessed. Amen. Psalmist says, by reading your word, have a great peace. By reading your word, have a great reward. Because it's more precious than silver, more costly than gold, more beautiful than diamonds, is much sweeter than the honey and the honeycomb, church. We should be a people, we have a privilege today. Today, all over the world, especially North India, people of servants of God and the people of God are not able to come. They've been beaten, they've been killed, they've been put in the prison. But today, we enjoy worshiping the Lord. We make it a point that every Sunday, all together, we'll pray for the persecuted church. We are so privileged today in the city of Bangalore. Day for us today, there was attack in Kolar. And it is keep happening. But praise God, we are so safe and secure. But it's not the time to keep quiet when such things happen. We need to, as an individually, as a family, as a church, we must pray for our brothers and sisters, those who are suffering with other part of the states, other part of the nations around the world. As we read from the book of Acts, this Acts chapter 10 verse, there are 48 verses. Listen, when Jesus began his ministry in Matthew chapter 4, towards the end, Jesus was involving in teaching in the synagogue. He was involving in preaching. Then he was involved in, healing, casting out demons, bring forth, healing in and out in the lives of the people. The remaining time, this is my heart desire. First, we'll have time of learning together. Then few words of preaching. Then the healing part. May the Lord does it. Hallelujah. May the Lord do it. We'll pray. That should be a heart desire. And we need to win the victory today. Never ever allow the enemy to take our life. Our heart desire should be, Lord, do something new in my life, Lord God. I want to hear your voice. I want to experience your touch, Lord. In the book of Acts we read, there are two important people we read about. One is Cornelius. Second is Simon Peter, another person called Simon a tanner. It's only from the one chapter. We read about Cornelius and his household, two of his devoted servants and devoted soldiers. And we read when we Simon Peter, Simon a tanner, some brother from Joppa, relatives and close friends of Cornelius. These are the people we read in the book of Acts chapter 10. Then we read about angel, probably Gabriel, who spoken to Cornelius. Then we read about the voice from heaven spoken to Peter. Now there are times we read Cornelius was praying and fasting till the 9th hour. But other side, Peter was praying till the noon, that is 12 o'clock today. Okay? And Cornelius had a vision. But Peter he fell into a trance and he heard the voice of the Lord. We read in this chapter there are two important cities. One is Caesarea, another one is called Joppa. End of the chapter we read 34 to 48. Peter preaching the gospel at Caesarea to Cornelius and to everyone who gathered. Verse 44, those who heard the word, the Holy Spirit fell upon them. Verse 47 and 48, they all were baptized in the name of the Lord. So the whole chapter is this. How God involved in the life of these two people. And how God is fulfilling his mission through his people. How God's plan is being fulfilled. And when we come to the life of Cornelius, there are few characters, qualifications, qualities in the character we see. He was a centurion of Italian regiment. He was a devout and who feared God with all his household, who gave alms generously to the people and prayed to God always, fasted and prayed, has a good reputation among all the nations of Jewish. But we don't read much about Peter in this book. But I want to take you, to a journey and who Peter was. Then we'll come to the point what God wanted to. About Simon Peter we read, when Jesus started his ministry in Galilee and Judea, the part in Matthew chapter, if you're interested in writing this word, you can write down Matthew chapter 5 verse 18 to 20. Jesus walking by the Sea of Galilee saw two brothers, Simon called Peter and Andrew his brother, casting a net into the sea, for they were fishermen. Then Jesus said to them, follow me, I will make you fishers of men. Verse 20 says, they immediately left their net and followed him. We are trying to understand about who this Peter is. As soon as the first word came to Peter, he says, immediately he left. In other gospel says he left his father and the boat and then he followed Jesus Christ. Then when we come to chapter 8, Matthew chapter 8 verse 14 to 15, we read, as they were journeying, Jesus along with the disciples, they went to Peter's house, Peter's mother-in-law's house, where she was having fever. Lord touched her and she got up and she served Jesus. That's what we read. Peter was witness what the Lord has done. When we come to 9th chapter of Matthew, there we read Jairus, the ruler of the synagogue, the daughter was raised from the dead. You know, only in 3 occasions, Peter, John, and James had a privilege to go with Jesus. One is in the house of Jairus, where he raised his daughter. Second, chapter 17, on the Transfiguration Mount, where they could see Elijah and Moses along with Jesus. And the third, on the last day of his prayer, on the Gethsemane. Though he took all the disciples with him, but further, he took Peter, John, and James. He started to pour out his heart. They were an inner circle. So I'm talking about Peter. Peter was one among the inner circle men, very closely associated with Jesus. You know, when we come to chapter 14, chapter 16, 14, we read, or chapter 10, when the name was given to apostles, Peter's name was the first name. Chapter 14, we read, the Peter answered him and said, Lord, if it is you, command me, come onto the water. I don't think that anybody's on this earth who walked on the sea, or walked on the water. After Jesus, only Peter alone who walked on the water. Chapter 16, you know, Jesus asked from Caesarea of Philippi, he asked his disciples, what do you think, what the people talk about me? They said, some of them are talking that you are Elijah, you are the prophet Elijah, you are Jeremiah, you are John the Baptist. Some of the others are prophet. Then Jesus asked a question, what do you say about me? You know, this one man, Peter said, you are Christ, the Son of the living God. He had a revelation. Jesus says, this is not the flesh and the blood not revealed it to you. It is my Father in heaven who revealed it to you. When we understand about Peter, he had a very closer walk with him. One after another. You know, when Jesus was arrested, remember, Peter took off his sword and struck the ears of the servant of the high priest. His name is called Malchus. After he was buried and resurrected, when the ladies, when they went mourning and came back and said, you know, Jesus is not there, his body is not seen. Peter and John ran together because John was the younger one. He ran ahead of Peter, but he only went up to the tomb. But when Peter went, he went to the tomb. He was every time he was in the front line, very active. He's the one who said, even all may forsake you, deny you, but I'll never. But he denied 3 times. But we see in John Gospel chapter 20, 3 times, he's restoring back. Peter, do you love me more than this? We have so many things in the book of Gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke. There are a few things I pulled out and said to you. And in book of Matthew chapter 16, Jesus says, I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven. Peter, you are the rock. On this rock, I will build my church. Peter had a greater revelation of Jesus than any other disciples during his walk in the ministry. When we come in the book of Acts, we read, because Jude died, Peter is taking a lead along with 120, choosing Matthias instead of Judas. Chapter 2 of book of Acts, we read when the Lord poured out his Holy Spirit, there was a trouble the people who came to celebrate the Passover. Then he's responding to them, clarifying them. This was spoken by Joel the prophet. And he preached the word. You know, that day, 3,000 people repented and turned to the Lord, and they were baptized. One preaching. Remember when Jesus called him first? Follow me, I will make you fishers of men. And today, he's casting his nest, and one preaching, 3,000 people turned to the Lord. When we come to the chapter 3, we read about Peter and John, the time of prayer, went to the temple. You know what has happened? A man was lame for 40 years. The following verses you read. He said, hey, we don't have either gold or silver, but in the name of Jesus, rise and walk. It was a mighty miracle worker. When we come to chapter 4, the preaching of the gospel from 120 to 3,000, 3,000 to 5,000, 5,000 to 8,000, that's what the Jerusalem grew. That's what he's saying. Grow like Jerusalem. Jerusalem church grew. Again and again, high priests were turning into the Lord. And because of the preaching of the gospel, if you believe Acts chapter And 1 verse 8, it will happen up, it will affect you. Acts chapter 8 verse 1. You know what is Acts chapter 1? 8? When you receive power, you will be my witnesses in Jerusalem, in Judea and Samaria and uttermost part of the world. The result is that Acts chapter 8 verse 1, the persecution began. Whenever there is a preaching of the gospel, persecution comes. Whenever there is a persecution, the revival takes place and the church will grow and multiply, increase and explode all over. That's what we are seeing today. And fourth chapter, Peter and apostles were put in prison, but they were bold enough to preach. And chapter 5, we read, about Ananias and Sapphira. When they came and spoke, they sold everything, and with understanding agreement, both of them kept a small part of it. And Peter asked a question. You know what has happened? Ananias fell down and died. At a few hours, Sapphira came. She fell and died. In the presence of Peter, presence of the Holy Spirit, there was a great fear came upon the church. What a mighty man who is a Peter, who walked with the Lord, who carried the tangible and the transferable presence of the Lord. In the chapter 5, we read, when Peter was walking through the street, people are longing so they can bring their sick people to lay on the road where the shadow can touch, where they can be healed. Such anointing Peter carried in his life. That is called tangible and the transferable presence of the Lord. Chapter 6, we read, there was a chaos and confusions among the ministry of the ladies. Sorry, forgive me, I'm not talking about you. There was between Hebrews and, Greeks, there was a trouble. Then Peter said, it is not our duty to go on, sir. Please appoint deacons. So they appointed 7 deacons. What are their qualities? They should be full of, there should be a good man of good reputation. There should be a man full of Holy Spirit and full of wisdom. They selected 7 people. First was Stephen, and second was Philip, then go forth. And we read in chapter 7, Stephen started to preach. He became the first martyr for Christ in the New Testament history. When we come to chapter 8, we read about the persecutions increased. And people were scattered. And Philip, who is the second evangelist, I called him. He wasn't a crusader. He wasn't a miracle worker. First time reaching to Samaria after Jesus Christ, where people were healed. We know this sorcerer called Simon were repentant and turned to God. On the way to Samaria, as he was going to Gaza, the Holy Spirit told him to go down and walk near the chariot, where he spoke to an Ethiopian financial minister, and he led him to the Lord. He baptized him from that place. Then he moved on to, the Lord took him from there to Astos, 40 kilometers. From there, Astos, he moved on preaching the word. He went to Caesarea. Now, Philip is in Caesarea. Listen, this you remember this. Later part, in Acts chapter 21, when we read the last journey of Paul when he was coming down to Jerusalem, he came down and stayed in the house of Philip. Philip had 4 virgins who were prophetess. He was a mighty preacher. He was a crusader. He was a miracle worker. Now he's already in Caesarea. Now, the Lord says to Peter, we are coming back to the text. Peter, arise and cut and eat. Peter says, no, Lord. Before that, Peter told him once, when Jesus first time started to speak about his death and the suffering, that, Pharisees and Sadducees and the lawyers, they will take him and crucify him. And Peter took Jesus aside. When Isaiah talking about Jesus, the birth of Jesus, virgin birth, what did she say? What the prophet say? He'll be a wonderful counselor. He'll be a mighty God. He'll be the heavenly Father. There are different things. Mighty God, Prince of Peace. But for this wonderful counselor, Peter became another counselor. He says, no, Lord, it should not happen to you. Immediately Jesus has to tell him, turn around and tell him, get behind me, Satan. Because you are not thinking about heavenly things. when the people brings to us counseling, maybe a good counseling, yes, Peter was right humanly, but it was not godly. So when somebody speaks to you, counsel you, remember whether it is godly, whether it's a human. Now, Peter says second time, no, Lord. You know why? The previous chapter, 9th chapter, the last words, Peter was already there in Lydda, where Aeneas, who was 8 years of paralyzed man, were healed. He said, Aeneas, Jesus heals you. He's healed in the spot. Then he come to Joppa. Joppa, we read about Tabitha or Dorcas. She was dead. She was a woman of skillfulness, tunics and garments. But she died. But Peter came and prayed for her. She came back to life. Look at the life of Peter. He was not an ordinary man who walked with Jesus for 3.5 years of his ministry, carried the presence of God, had a love for God, had a passion for God. He had a ministry. He had a miracle working power. You know, he was there for everything for the Lord. But now come to an point saying, when the Holy Spirit says, when the God Almighty says, he says, no, Lord. Church, listen. Though he had so many things, good things to talk about him, but he was carrying a negative attitude in his life. You know what is the negative attitude? If you study, there were the traditional Jewish rabbis says, there were misquoting also says, the Gentiles were created to be a fuel for the fire in the hell. So they did not want the salvation of Gentiles, one part of it. This happening in Joppa. You remember 760 years BC, there was another prophet in the same city of Joppa. Anybody remember? His name is Jonah. There was the word came to Jonah to go down to preach in Nineveh. Now he says he will go to Tarshish, today's Spain. The same place God is calling Apostle Peter. That is the prophet Jonah. But he disobeyed. You know the consequences, what has happened to him. Now the apostle, Peter is here. There is a call. If I was there and the Peter said, I should have told him, God, why are you calling me to go and minister to Cornelius? There is on the next step in the same city, you have Philip, the preacher, the crusader, the miracle worker, who can preach even to the finance minister, who can change the life of a sorcerer. But the Lord says, I want you. I want you to come. I want you to go 56 kilometers from Joppa to Caesarea is 56 kilometers, walking more than 1 day journey. We should have an obedience. I don't know whom the Lord is speaking to us today. I said, though he was a mighty miracle preacher and teacher who walked with Jesus for 3.5 years, who has seen Acts chapter 1 to 8, miracles were happening, dead were raised, sick were healed. His shadow had a power of the Holy Spirit. But one thing, he carried the negative attitude about the Gentiles. Any negative attitude that we carry in our lives, our family will be in chaos and confusions. The other day, some time before, a few months before, I was talking to a family who's in a grandparents. Husband and wife had an issue. Still, they're not able to accept, the spouse, brothers or sisters or in-laws. They are married for almost 40 years. But still, this man and this woman, the spouse, they're carrying the negative attitude about the family. Though they are there, they have children, they are grandchildren, but still they are not able to enjoy the fullness what God wanted to give. So my prayer this morning, if any one of you may be here, like 40 years or 35 years. You may be the best leader and preacher and giver. You may be a pastor or assistant pastor or a worship leader or the musicians or a singer or a Sunday school teacher or a care leader or an area leader. Who doesn't matter. You may be the saint of God in this church. In case any one of us, I'm not saying that you are carrying, in case any one of us carrying an attitude of negativeness, the Lord is interested in you today. We read in Luke chapter 15 when he speaks about three parables. One is about 100 sheep, one is lost. He was least bothered about 99. He left there and going after the one who is lost. Today, the Lord is looking at our life. We have an opportunity to say like Jonah, Lord, you go to Nineveh, you can go to Tarshish. You know the consequences. But you have an opportunity today, like Peter, after many years of walking with experience the Lord, he was willing to be obedient to the call of God from heaven. Well, my prayer is this for us, including me, that none of us will walk out of this place with a negative attitude in case we have. We should win the victory today. We might be a powerful preacher, teachers, contributors, leaders. We can do so many things. We read in Psalms, search me, O God, and know my heart today. See if there is any way or wicked way in me. Lead me into the way of everlasting. I tell you, devil can deceive us. We can have a good smiling face, but our hearts can be hard and dark. Jesus once he said looking at the Pharisees, said, you honor me with your lips, but your hearts are far away from me. We can be so easy to tell to our brother and sister and pastor, our spouse, our children, our in-laws, okay from outside. But still, we are struggling. Deep down within, we are struggling. We are not able to come to enjoy the fullness what God has given to us. God's heart was for Peter not to stop with that. He wanted to come to fullness where he need of healing from the negative attitude. One month back, my sister-in-law, that is my wife's sister-in-law, she had a fall. Head was bleeding. Took her to the hospital. That's a local clinic. 21 stitches is put. Then she was complaining so much of pain. There was no other facility for X-ray or a CT scan or other scan. They have then immediately took her to another hospital 50 kilometers away. They have done X-ray, CT and MRI. Then they came to know collarbone was broken, 4 ribs was broken, the spinal cord was totally cut, and she became moveless. Outside we can see brothers and sisters. Dear Church of God, everything may be fine. But we need to go through the scanner before the presence of the Holy Spirit. When the Holy Spirit comes, we bring ourselves before the Holy Spirit. Let the Holy Spirit scan us and to find out where we are wrong, where we are troubled, where we go through difficulties, where we are living still under oppression and suppression, discouraged, worried, not able to enjoy the fullness of God. When we come to the end of this chapter, we read this is what Peter says. Verse 34, now I see very clearly. Now I truly understand. Now I am certain. Now I realize how true it is. Many years walking with the Lord, he did not understood this. That God loved the world and he gave his begotten son. He wanted to love everyone. In the last commission, Jesus told him, you must receive the power and you'll be my witnesses in Jerusalem, in Judea, in Samaria, and uttermost part of the world. Those were Peter was not. He was happy in Jerusalem. He was happy in Judea. He was happy in Samaria. But he did not want to go to a Gentile's house because of his negative attitude. Now the Lord touches his life because he was willing to obey the heavenly call into his life. He was obedience where God touched his life. Then further we know he wrote 2 epistles, 2 letters, 1st and 2nd Peter. Then the history says, tradition says, finally he was in the Rome. He was crucified. About his crucifixion by the Roman, the Caesar, the Nero, he said, I'm not worthy to be crucified like the master died. Put me upside down. That was his end. The fullness of God was completed in his life. Church, I want you just all of you to close your eyes. Shall we make a prayer? Search me, O God, and know my heart today. So is there any trouble that I have? I have a smiling face before my brother, before my spouse, before my children, before my in-laws, before my leaders, before my pastor, before my co-brother here, before my care leader, but my heart is not still right. Touch me, God. I need your touch. I need your fullness, Lord. Somewhere I'm troubled. I'm willing to obey the voice of God today. There was a call for Jonah. He wasn't a prophet. There's a call for Apostle Peter and he was willing. Today a call for us, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a peculiar people, the ambassadors of Christ, God chosen family, loved ones. There's a call for you and for me from heaven. Are you listening? Bible says, those who have ears, let them hear what the Spirit of God is saying to us this morning. Never ever allow the devil to work in your lives. Keep yourself mum, but say, God, if I need that touch, just like that Peter. The Lord is here to touch us. Set us free. Set us free from every things that you're going through. Others may not be knowing. You may be knowing it. God, I need that healing in my life. Touch me, oh God. Doesn't matter whoever you are. You may be the oldest person in the church. You may be the most giver. You may be most active member. You may be a singer. You may be a worship leader. You may be a musician. You might be any leadership. Or you're just coming as a saints of God in this church. Open our hearts unto the Lord this morning. I'm very much burdened to pray for the worship team. Rabana Shandari Kabalaguda. Rikantara Dinavalaguda Vana Sando. We bless you, Lord. Now, as I was praying yesterday, fasting and praying, the Lord told me to pray for the worship team. Not only today's leading, others, those who are all involved in worship team, please why don't you come and stand here. Church, this is my prayer for you. The Lord will have His way. If you are leading worship, singing songs, leading worship, other Sundays, if you are here, please come and stand this for all of you. We read, listen, worship team, you are in a most blessed place, but you are in a most dangerous place. If you hear about the story of Lucifer, here it's not a competition. Here we are completing the work of God. Never ever allow the pride to come in. It's a place which God has given you. That's what King Hezekiah said. My children, my sons, do not be negligent. You have been called, you have been chosen, you have been appointed to serve the Lord in this place. We're in Samuel chapter 16. When David played the harp, there was a spirit of oppression and suppression used to come upon Saul. Whenever he played the music instrument, the spirit of oppression moved away. You need to come to the stage. I'm sure that. Don't ever enter on the stage without at least a time of fasting and praying. When you come, God, when we pray the music, when we sing this song, we want to see people are being released, set free. We're in Joshua chapter 6, when the priest, when they carried the trumpet, when they blew the trumpet, the Jericho wall fell down. Anything that is blocking, stopping the work of God, when you lead worship, when you sing, that should happen in this place. We're in 2 Chronicles chapter 20 verse 21. When Jehoshaphat and the team, they started to praise God and saying, God is good, His mercy endureth forever. You know what has happened? There was a confusion in the enemy's camp. Enemies start to fight one another and they killed one another. When you worship, there will be defeat in the enemy's camp. There will be confusion in the enemy's camp. We're in the book of Acts chapter 16. When Paul and Silas, when they were in prison, they were praising and worshiping God. What happened? Immediately there was an earthquake. All the doors of the prison were open. The chains fell up. The result was the jailer were born again. They were baptized. That should happen in the ministry. Acts chapter 13 we read, the people of God were praising and worshiping and ministering unto God. Holy Spirit said, set apart Paul and Barnabas for my ministry. Now, Pastor Sam, I was told by Pastor Shibu, they have vision. You have vision to start 10 satellite churches. You want the servants of God to go out. When you worship, you know, the Holy Spirit must say, we are setting you apart for the ministry. You're a very important place. You may be the best singer, best musician, but I plead with you in the presence of God today, because the Lord has spoken to me. I'm speaking to you this. If any one of you, any corners of your hearts, that you carry any thoughts of negative attitude about anybody, say, Lord, I'm sorry. Forgive me. Cleanse me, Lord. Set me free today. Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, Lord. Here am I, Lord. Church, as the worship team is going to lead us in singing, the song which God put in my heart is saying, purify my heart, O Lord. The Lord is here to cleanse us, to set us free, bring forth healing in and out. This is our time to respond to the voice of God. If God can touch Peter, even the last days of his life for his ministry, for a greater purposes, he was willing to obey the heavenly call. It's called for us. If you need that touch today, any one of us, even 99% if you are not standing, have no problem. But if Lord has spoken to you, this is your day to stand before God, receive this healing, take away all kinds of things that is not happy with the God and in your lives, in your family, in the church, where we'll be one together, love one another, care for one another, forgive one another, accept one another, walk together, pray together, worship the Lord together, give the Lord together, and build the church of God together. The name of the Lord will be established. Why don't you stand in the house of God? Lord, here am I. Purify my heart desire, Lord. Wash me, set me free. I need your touch this morning. Church, my brothers and sisters, the coming of the Lord is very near. We did not know about tomorrow. This early morning, we got a call from Kerala saying, you know, one of our church member, Jolie's church, my young boy, 24 years, he met with an accident yesterday at Wayanad. He died on the spot. 3 weeks before in Kagalipura church, he was in a CID, but coming from Kollagal to Kanagapura, he met with an accident. He died. He was 37. He just got married. The life, what God has given us is so precious. The death is certain, but time is uncertain. We do not know when is the day of our end. The Lord says this is the day of our salvation. Let me say this morning, this is the day of your deliverance. This is the day of your healing. This is the day of your restoration. Realize it, repent it, return, and you will be restored this morning. The Lord is here. The Spirit of God is moving as the worship leads. And after that, we'll be praying. Oh, yes. Hallelujah. Let it be a sincere prayer from our hearts. Oh, yes. This our cry, Lord. This our prayer, Lord. Purify us. Oh, God. Thank you, Lord. My heart one desire, Lord. Yes. Dedicate and rededicate our life to the Lord this morning. This is our desire, Lord. Oh, yes. Set us free. All what is in which is not happy with you, Lord. Oh, God. Thank you, Lord. Oh, yes. It's my prayer. If any one of us is struggling in your life, which was Peter's trouble, the negative attitude against the heathens. If you have anything in our lives against our spouse, against our in-laws, against our children, against our parents, against the body of Christ, against the leaders, against your brothers and sisters in this morning, the Lord says to you, bring it at the feet of Jesus. Let there be healing from within. God set me free. From today, let there be a new beginning in my life, Lord. Lord is looking for man and woman who is willing to commit his life for the greater purposes. There is a heavenly call this morning. Church, do you want to be obedient to his call today? Let's hear what the Spirit is saying to us. Let's allow ourselves to go into the presence of Holy Spirit. Let the Holy Spirit scan our life and say, my daughter, my son, I love you, but I see something wrong with your lives. I am willing to heal you, set you free. The Lord says in Isaiah chapter 1, verse 18 and 19, come, let us reason together. If your sins are like a scarlet, I'll wash you like a white as snow. Church, this is our day. Don't miss these opportunities. As the worship team continue leading maybe another 2 more minutes, in your silent, you cry out unto God. If you can realize what the Lord is speaking, where you are, what you are, what kind of person you are, with whom you have a trouble, return to God and repent it, and there is going to be a restoration in your lives. This is the word of God. Receive the healing. Receive the healing in your lives. This is your day. This is my day. This is our day. The call of God is upon us this morning. Oh yes. Thank you, Lord. To be
I pray that we will respond to your call, O Lord Father. Lord, speak to our hearts. Purify our hearts. Pure, Lord Father. Lord, even as we heard, Lord, nothing against anyone, Lord Father. There are areas that we need to change where we are, Lord Father. Purify our hearts. There are things to be set right. Here we are, Lord Father, to set right things that needs to be set right, Lord Father. Father, we thank you for this word. We thank you for speaking to us. How good and how faithful, Lord Father, your call is in our lives. We commit Pastor Sundar and Sister Jolie into your hands for the work and for the leadership that is around them. We pray, Lord Father, even as He pioneers new work, the resources, Lord Father, the people, oh Lord Father, the leadership, Lord Father, will stand around them. We thank you for people like them who have shown us the way, Lord Father. Pray, Lord Father, that we will continue the legacy that was set forth by the leadership of this institution, Lord. We thank you, we bless you, we honor you. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen. The love of the Father, the grace of our Lord Jesus, and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with each and every one. And in the name of Jesus, we pray. God bless you. Have a great and blessed week. God bless.